Hi everyone, so today we're going to be building out an AI voice agent that could handle inbound calls for a plumbing company based in Germany. So if you take a look over here, this is what we're going to be building out. It has two main functionalities to this voice agent. So obviously the first one is it could answer any of the general FAQs. So it should have access to any of the knowledge base that we could create, and it could book in appointments. This is the main part of this voice agent essentially. So booking appointments, the voice agent is actually able to check if the user is an existing or a new customer. It should be able to check a database to see if the customer profile exists, or if it exists and it's an incorrect, it should create a new customer profile. And once that's done, there are basically three different cases in which the customer could identify themselves as, right? So the first case is the customer is an owner, and if the customer is an owner, we should only collect information of him for him or her, right? So you get the first name, last name, the house address, phone number, and the email. If the customer is a tenant, it should collect the tenant and the landlord's email address. The information, right? So email, phone number, house address, first, last name. And likewise, in case number 3, if the customer is the landlord, it should collect the information of the landlord as well as the tenant. Right, so this is a very realistic case where companies would have to collect different information based on the role of the customer. And then later on, when we go down here, this is where it gets the services that the customer wants to book. So in this case, we have 4 different clusters. These are like the 4 different groups of services that the plumbing company can offer. So we have cluster 1, which is 60 minutes long. These include routine maintenance, minor repairs, and consultations. Cluster 2, these are more extensive repairs and more extensive maintenance. Cluster 3, installation of new systems, optimization of existing systems. And lastly, this is for an emergency, whereby if, obviously if there's an emergency, you want to book in an appointment, right? And for the emergency case, it should be able to book in an appointment even though there are no existing slots. Even if the slots are unavailable, it should still be able to book an appointment because it's emergency, basically. Right, so these include pipe bursts, heating system failures, and lack of hot water. Obviously, these are just very brief, vague explanation for each cluster, but in the knowledge base, you can actually define a more detailed version of it, right? Basically. And after that's done, you can check the availability of the calendar of each services. If it's not available, you suggest 3 other alternative slots. If it's available, you can book the appointment, and it would send out the confirmation email from qwickstep.ai. Likewise, for the emergency calendar, books an appointment straight away and sends the confirmation email. So this whole system we're going to build out today, the tech stack that we're going to use is we're going to use Retail as the voice agent. We're going to set up the calendar management system on qwickstep.com because it has actually really good integrations with Retail actually. And we're going to use our NADN for our automation workflow. You're welcome to use make.com if you're more comfortable with that. In terms of the database, we're going to use Google Sheets. You could use Airtable, or if you have an existing CRM that you're using for your company, you could use that. But to make it simple, we're going to stick to Google Sheets. So just stick this here real quick. So if you take a look here, we're going to start off with qwickstep.com. So we're going to set up the service calendars for each of the different clusters that we have. So cluster 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to basically set the number of staff available for each services. That's what we're going to build up. And then in the NADN workflow, this is what we can do. We have 2 workflows mainly that we want to build today. So the first one is a check database tool. This is where the voice agent can use this workflow to check the information in your database, which is your Google Sheets. And if the profile exists, it creates a message and sends a webhook response back to the voice agent. If it doesn't exist, then likewise it sends a webhook response saying the user profile is not found. And the next one we're going to build out is the add to database. So this is if the customer is a new customer, it creates a new customer profile for them. It asks for the information that we got from here, right? Based on the customer role, you get the information and it adds it to the database over here. And lastly, if if the user is actually asking for a maintenance service, either cluster 1 or cluster 2, we want to also ask for the maintenance type and the manufacturer for the devices. So for example, this is a database that we currently have. These are all fake data, by the way, so don't even try to call these numbers, it's a fake. So this is what we're going to build out. If they are looking for a maintenance service, we're going to ask for the device manufacturer and the device type, so that that's one of the requirements of building out this voice agent. And that's essentially the entire the gist of what we're going to build today. So let's start. It's probably going to be quite a long video, but hopefully I'll do it as fast as possible. And so in terms of the retail AI voice agent, so this is what we're going to build out. If just take a sec over here. Okay, so this is what we're going to build out. This is the plumbing company voice agent that I just built out. Basically, it's a template that we're using that I've already built up before this. Stuff like this, and we're going to use a multi-prompt system. So this is a prompt tree. This is what we're going to build. Firstly, we're going to get the call intention, check if it's a new or existing customer. If it's a new customer, identify the customer and gather the information. If it's an existing one, retrieve the information using the check database tool. Get the required service, check the availability for each cluster, and once you're done, you end the call. So that's the gist of it. And yeah, we're just going to build it up from scratch for now, and it's hopefully things go well. Okay, so first thing you want to do is create an agent. You want to click on multi-prompt agent, right? We could do, let's just start from blank. So this is the reason why we're doing this, is instead of a single prompt agent, right? So we want to have a nice flow to the conversation, because if you have a single prompt agent, you can kind of see how it's going to be very inaccurate, right? We want to be able to collect the right information for the right role of the customer. In a single prompt agent, usually it has trouble doing that, and it's not very accurate in terms of following the structure of the flow. So we're going to use a multi-prompt system, which does the job a lot better, right? So we're going to start off with creating a general prompt for the user. So yeah, so I actually already have the prompt that I built up previously. So I'll provide this in the description or somewhere after the video. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to write out something like this. So you are the voice agent for blah, blah, blah. We're going to let's just put plumbing XYZ. Right, we're going to call our company plumbing XYZ. Plumbing XYZ. So you handle inbound calls from customers, seeking plumbing services. Your tone is friendly, professional, and solutions oriented, making customers feel heard and valued. Introduce yourself at the start of each call, a greeting like, "Hi, this is plumbing XYZ, virtual assistant on a recorded line. How can I help you today? This company operates from Monday to Friday from 8:30 to 5:30 p.m. On Saturdays for emergency only. Keep this in mind when discussing scheduling or availability of callers." So something simple like that should work, because remember, we're just building a general prompt here, right? The more specific prompts goes into the prompt tree. So this is very general. Style guardrails, be concise, embrace variety, blah blah blah. This should work. Use a natural way of referring to dates and times. Yeah, makes sense. Response guidelines. Yeah, so adapt and interpret, blah blah blah. Yeah, this is kind of very general. So just paste something like this as your general prompt, because the more detailed one will go here. So we're going to start off with building out the intro state, right? So the introduction state, this is where we want to get the intentions of the call, right? So we want to start off by, let's just name this get intention, right? So, yeah, get intention. So here we want to get the intention of the call, whether it is just asking general questions or if the user wants to book a call, book an appointment, right? So I have a prompt that I've gotten here. So we can do something like this. So background of the company. By the way, I think it's very good to write your prompts in a markdown format, where you have like, hashtags showing the different headings. It's just a lot better in terms of the prompt engineering, because the agent can understand it much better than that if you write down a normal way. So let's just change this to plumbing XYZ. Context: you are the inbound voice agent for a local plumbing service, receiving calls on a recorded line. Customers may be calling for general plumbing questions or to book an appointment. Something simple. Task: you want to check the intention. If there are general questions about servicing, services, pricing, or other inquiries, transition to FAQ state. So we could do something like this. If they want to book an appointment or schedule a visit, transition to new or existing. Here what we're going to do is we're going to take this out, because they have we're going to attach the knowledge base to the main agent. We're going to attach it here, so it shouldn't, there is no need to create a new state for that actually. So let's just do that. So get the intention, check the intention, handle irrelevant or unknown requests. If the caller asks about something not covered, politely answer. Say you don't have information. Keep insisting call transfer. Yep. So then we always want to try to put this in prompt, because sometimes there are stuff that the customer wants to ask, or the customer wants the agent to do, but the agent can't do. So you want to transfer the call to a human. So we're just going to put that there. In case of early disengagement, if the caller indicates there is not a good time, I want to call, and the call. How do you wrap up? We're going to take this out as well, because we want to put this function in the main general prompt. So we're going to take that out. Keep responses concise and friendly. Yep. So something like this is good enough, right? Because this is just the intention state. You just want to get the intention of the call. Okay, so that's done. You want to save that. And now you want to go into a new state. So what is this new state? Okay, so now we got the intention of the call. What we're going to do now is we want to see if we look at the flow chart here. We want to get intention. If the intention is to book an appointment, you want to go down here, which is to check if the customer is an existing one or a new customer. So we can do that. Let's name this state like new or existing. So you want to connect this to the new assistant. Now in your new or existing customer, you want to paste a prompt that should look something like this. So background, you are in the new or existing state. Your goal is to determine if the caller is a new customer or an existing customer. Task, ask if the caller is an existing or a new customer. Have you used our calling services before? Or is this first time calling? Something like this. Simple. If the caller is an existing customer, transition to retrieve customer info. We could use this, create a new state. This is to retrieve existing. Why is it not saving? Hello. Sometimes it's a bit stupid, but anyways. So we can retrieve information or new or existing. So this is if it's an existing customer, it goes there. If it's a new customer, it goes there. So this is, if it's a new customer, you want to call it identify customer and gather info, something like that. What did I name it previously? Transition to and get them. Yep, something like this. So if it's a new customer, it goes here. If it's a new customer, it goes here. If it's an existing customer, it goes here. Now, if the customer says they're an existing customer, but when we check the database and their profile is not found, you want to go back to the state to identify the customer. So what you want to do is actually connect this to the top of identify customer, just in case the existing user is incorrect. And then after that, what we want to do is, after we get the information of the caller, we want to determine we already got the information here. So this is where we gather the details inside here, over here. And now we just want to get the service, right? So if we go down to this state, we're going to change this to something like get quiet service. This would determine what services the customer wants. So both of these should connect to that. And after you get the required service, it should check the availability. You get one more, new state, bring this down. I'm going to connect that here. And this one would be check calendar or check availability, but we're going to put a general case, check calendar, because it should be able to check all 4 different clusters. Yeah, so again, get the intentions. If it's a new customer, come here. Transition, if the caller is an existing customer, transition to existing customer info. Okay. Identify customer. Okay, let's fill this out first. Let's fill identify customer and get information. So in the identify customer and get information, I should put a prompt that looks something like this. So let's delete that. You are in the identify customer and get info state for our plumbing services. Your goal is to collect customer details based on whether they're a homeowner, tenant, or landlord. So these are the 3 different cases, right? Over here. So identify that. For tenants and landlords, you must collect details for both the tenant and the landlord to ensure all relevant information is captured. So that's over here, tenant and the landlord. And yeah. So task, determine the customer's role. Are you a homeowner, tenant, or landlord? This is case 1. If they are the homeowner, collect just their first name, last name, house address, phone number, email. Once these details are collected, transition to get required service, which is down here. So that's done. Case 2, collect the tenant's details, all of the tenant's details and the landlord's details. And then once done, go down here. Fine. And then landlord, for case number 3, collect same thing. Landlord, first name, last name, house address, phone number, email. And then likewise, collect the tenant's details. Yeah. And then once the details are collected, transition to get required service. Edge conditions. If the caller provides unclear or incomplete responses, follow up. This is just to ensure that they are repeated and the answers provided by the customers are clear and the agent understands what they're saying. If caller hesitates, reassure them that this information helps ensure smooth scheduling, something like that. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So identify customer, that's done. Now we're going to look at, let me see, what else do we need? Now we're going to look at writing out the prompt for retrieve existing customer info. So actually I have a prompt here. Just going to copy that. So this is what we're going to write for retrieving the existing customer information. Background, you are in this state. It goes to check the database for the caller's profile, blah, blah, blah. If the profile exists, confirm the necessary details with the caller. If it doesn't exist, contact or it contains incorrect information, transition to identify customer. Task, again, ask for the caller's first and last name. This is used to check the database for their information and ensure the caller spells out their name for accuracy. Can I get the first and last name spelled out? Make sure to get the right profile for you. Makes sense. Repeat the name just to confirm I have this. Is that correct? If incorrect, ask them to clarify and adjust accordingly. Run the check database tool. Use the caller's first and last name to look out for the record. The tool may return either a profile with stored details or no matching profile found. And number 3, if the customer profile exists, read out the following information for confirmation, ensuring a 1-second pause after each piece of information. So basically, based on the testings that I did for the previous voice agent, when it's reading out the information, it's actually really fast when it reads it out. So basically, I'm just going to add this in here pause for 1 second every time it reads out the information, so it's not like rushing it, you know. So yeah, so add something like this for like the prompt engineering, it should work a lot better than previously. Pause 1 second, read digit by digit, blah blah blah. So this is just an example script that you provide the agent. If the caller confirms, and then politely acknowledge and transition to get required service. If the caller says the information is incorrect, get the new information. Yeah, something simple like this. This should do the job. So basically, in the retrieve existing customer, here is where we want to set up the tools that we could check the database for, right? So what's good about retail is they actually have an inbuilt check availability tool from with So you want to just do that, and you can change the name of the tool. Wait, actually no, wait, this is calendar. Oh, that doesn't make sense. Okay, so now that we have this here, so basically for retrieve existing customer, we want to basically add a custom tool that could check the database for the customer profile, right? So you want to go here and click custom function. You can name this check database, and the description can write something like this function queries the database using the customer's first and last name and retrieve the customer profile, something like that, right? And the URL, this is the webhook that we're sending it to. In this case, we're going to build out the workflow on n8n. So we're going to leave it empty for now, and the parameters, we're going to leave these empty. In fact, let's actually build out the system right now. So if we go into n8n, we're going to create a new workflow over here, and we're going to do this plumbing XYZ, and this one check a database workflow. So what we want to do is go into webhook, get a webhook over here, change this to a post, and you want to use the test URL for now. The difference between a test URL and a production is basically when you're building it up and just doing for testing, you want to use this link. And when you're pushing out for production, when you're deploying the solution, you want to change the webhook to this one so you can run it behind the scenes. You don't have to always, get onto n8n and turn on the workflow. So for now, we're going to use test URL. I'm going to copy that, go into retail, paste that over here. And in terms of the parameters, we're going to ask for the first and the last name of the user to check the database. So we're going to do something like this. I'm just going to provide this in the description or somewhere. So you want to put something like this. You want to get description required. You want to have the first name and the last name. This is when you send a webhook using this JSON, you get the first name and the last name of the customer, and you receive it here. Okay, that's fine. Let me just test that real quick. Just save that. We're going to test LLM. One thing good about retail is you can actually just chat to it. It's just a lot faster. Hi, I want to book an appointment. I am an existing customer. Okay, something like this. I'm gonna just listen for webhook. My first name is Xian. My last name is Jun. Yes. So it should now use the tool, check database, and you can see that we got the information here. Arguments, look. So we got the first name as Xian, the last name is Jun. So that's working right now. So that works. Perfect. So now we're done with this. We got that working. Now we're going to fill up the identify customer. Is there any other tools that we're going to build for this? Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, so now let's go into the get required service. Get required service. So we've got a prompt that looks like this. Go in here. So this is the prompt that we could write for the getting the required service. This is where we determine what service they want, the 4 different clusters that we're going to build out. So background, you're in the get required service state. The goal is to clarify, identify the plumbing service, store it as a variable service cluster. Actually, we don't need that. The goal is to identify the type of plumbing service the caller needs. There are 4 categories, or rather clusters. This state is connected to 4 specific states, which are check cluster 1, check cluster 2, check cluster 3, check emergency. Actually, what we could do is basically connect it into just one state and then just build out the 4 different tools for each cluster. But sometimes I prefer to separate it into 4 different states instead, so that it's just more accurate when it comes to using the right tools, because sometimes the agent doesn't use the exact tools. So to prevent that from happening, you can separate out into 4 different states. I'll get to that in a bit. But okay, so we're just going to continue out with the prompt here. So task, ask the caller about the required service. Can help with the routine maintenance, something like this. Okay, so cluster 1, routine maintenance, simple stuff. These are all basically you can put in more information on what's offered in each service, right? So I wrote everything down over here. Anything that fits this requirement is in cluster 1. And then if it's for maintenance services, you have to collect the manufacturer of the device and the device type. And then this is an example prompt that you can give for the voice agent. And then cluster 2, more extensive repairs. These are basically more information. Cluster 3, installation, basically same thing. Cluster 4, emergency. Store the chosen cluster in a variable. Yeah, you don't need that. Okay, so that should work. Edge conditions. Check cluster 1, check cluster 2. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to create 3 more states. Create 4, whatever. So we have 4 states here. Delete that. So we're going to do this. This is going to be the 4 different clusters. Cluster 1, cluster 2, 3, and 4. We're going to just change this over here. So check cluster 1. Do that for this one. Check cluster 2, 1, 2, and then 3. And then for the last one, we're going to do check emergency. Emergency. And then we're going to connect it to all the different states. Perfect. Save that. So now in the service, when the agent gets the specific cluster that the user is looking for, it can go down to the right state correctly. So that should work. We can test that, but I think it should work, honestly. So okay, so cluster 1. Let's build out the prompt for cluster 1. So here is where we have to start setting up the cal.com calendars for the 4 different services. But let's just write out the prompt for each of this first, right? So for cluster 1, we can have a prompt that looks like that, which is very similar to cluster 2 and 3, by the way. It's just a different naming. So you are in cluster 1. Goes to schedule appointment for this. Now we want to ask for the preferred date and time where they are available. And then you want to check the calendar to see if that slot is available. If it's available, you want to book it in using the book appointment tool. I'm going to check availability tool. If it's unavailable, you want to book in, you want to suggest 3 other alternative slots, basically. You want to give an example. Unfortunately, the time isn't available. These other examples. Handle confirmation, edge conditions. If it's done, you want to go to the end call state. If the caller cannot decide or declines the option, transition end call. So yeah, essentially this is something general like this should work, right? And you want to do that for all 3 different clusters. So cluster 1, cluster 2. Okay, get the exact ones. So you check for cluster 2. This is the same thing, but this is for the second cluster. Everything else is the same. Cluster 3 should be the same thing as well. Move it here. Cluster 3. Nice. And last one is for the emergency. Check emergency. Acknowledge the state. Yeah, everything's the same. So this is the part where we have to start setting up the calendar events on cow.com. So the good thing about retail is they actually have an integration with cow.com, right? So you have the check calendar availability using cow.com here and the book calendar. So we're going to use these two. And okay, let's rename this. So check like cluster 1, something like this. When the user asks for availability, check the calendar and provide available slots. Something like that is good. Time zone, you want to change this to wherever you're building the voice agent for. So in my case, it's Europe, Berlin, because it's based in Germany. I'm going to copy that, paste that here. And these two are what we need to get from cow.com. But before we set that up, we're going to write out the tools for these two as well. Same thing. Europe, Berlin. Look on the calendar. Okay. This is check cluster 2. Check. Actually, I can just leave it as it is, to be honest. You can just leave it as book appointment and then check availability. Just leave it as that. Check availability. Book appointment. Tools. That. Euro Berlin. Check emergency. Tools. Book calendar. Okay, perfect. So now what we want to do is we want to set up the cow.com. Okay, yeah, so we're going to get the API keys. So now what we want to do is find the API keys from cow.com and the event type ID, which I will show you right now. So in this case, we're going to start off by creating the service calendars for each of the services. So I'm going to go on to voice agent. I don't need that. I'm just going to quickly delete that. So what you want to do is first you want to click create. And we're going to call this cluster 1. This is a round robin. So basically what it does is it automatically handles the assignment in terms of your team members or your staff members. So if you have 5 different staff, for example, who could handle a specific service, the round robin essentially does the assignment in terms of who is available, who has the least amount of booked meetings for the staff, right? You can fairly assign it to every single staff member that you have. Otherwise, you have to create it from scratch, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, but so you're going to utilize that. So we're going to start off with cluster 1. We're going to write a description real quick over here. I could write something like this. I'm just going to use this. Put something like that. Cluster 1 duration. This is going to be a 60-minute long service. In terms of the location, we can put in-person attendee address. So this is the address of the user, basically. You want to click on save. You want to go into availability. Here you can wait, no, actually no. Let's go into assignment first. What I usually do is I put load balancing. So this is such that every single staff member has an equal probability of getting a booked meeting, a booked appointment, so that everyone is equal, right? If you want, you can look into maximize availability. This is such that the number of potential meeting booked is as high as possible, and you don't really care how many of your staff gets assigned to these meetings. Here, you want to assign all of the team members. What we could do is, as of right now, we have 2 members, which is me and my colleague. As of now, I'm going to put myself. But if you have like 4 different staff members, you can put all of them over here. Limits. This is a buffer time, which we can leave it as it is. Minimum notice, we're going to set this to maybe 1 day before. Time slot interval. Okay, that should be the same. We're not going to touch that. Advanced. So you need the name, email address, the location. Yeah, we'll just leave it as it is. Recurring. Yeah, I think everything else we can leave it as it is. So we're going to save that. So now what we're going to do is, in check cluster 1, the event type ID that we're looking for is actually here. So this, in your URL, this is the event type ID. So you just want to copy that, paste it over here. Oops. You want to copy that and paste it over there. And to get your API key, what you need to do is go into your settings, click on API keys, and you want to create one over here. I'm just going to create a temporary one for the YouTube for this video. We can call it plumbing XYZ. You should, if you want to put it in production, you should put it at never expires, but because I'm doing it for a video, I'm just going to keep it as maybe 7 days. Save it. Now you got this API key, you want to copy that, and you want to paste it here. And you want to do the same for every single one of them. Keep in mind the event type ID is different for each cluster because we have different calendar systems, but the API key is the same. You can use the same API key. So now that's done, I'm just going to save that. Now we want to get, Now we want to get the event type ID for cluster 2, 3, and 4, which is basically the same thing, right? So we can go back to your calendars over here, voice agent. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this twice to create cluster 2. And this one, I'm going to put it as 90 minutes more extensive repairs and maintenance. Boom. Okay, cluster 2, this is 90 minutes long. So put that, continue. Everything else should be the same. Everything else should be the same. Assignment. Yep, I'm going to get the same. I'm going to get the event ID, put it here, cluster 2. Cluster 2. Change that. Change that. Save. And then we're going to go to cluster 3. Same thing. Duplicate that. Cluster 3. And this is going to be 180 minutes. Boom. Boom. 180. Continue. Everything else should be the same. Keep the event ID. Put this here. Nice. Now we're going to do the last one for check emergency. This is a bit different because now we want to be able to book in a slot even though there is, it is not available, right? So if we're going to, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this first. I'm going to call this cluster 4 bracket emergency. Here we're going to put this description up. And we're going to say something like, this is how long? 180 minutes. Nice. Continue. So this is a bit different. Now what we want to do is in terms of, okay, let's check assignment real quick, see if there's anything. Okay. So now what you want to do is you want to go into advanced and you want to change offer seats. So this is basically used for webinars actually. So what we can do is we can have one host and 10 different customers, right? But using this idea, we could use it for the plumbing service, whereby if there are going to be 10 maximum emergency services, we can set this to 10. So I'm just going to show you this example here. So we're going to set this to 5 as of now. Show the available number of seats. I'm going to save that. Preview. So this is what I mean. Previously on a different calendar, say we do for cluster 3, right? If we want to book in a slot on, let's say, Thursday, 1 p.m., you can only book in one time. After this is booked, this slot will not be available anymore unless there are, more staff members available to book for to handle this service. But for the emergency, you want to still be able to book even though it's already booked once, right? So in this case, we set the number to 5. So if it's on Saturday, for example, if you book in for 1 p.m., there will be still 4 available slots. So these are the number of emergency services that your company can handle, basically. So that basically handles all of the, it allows the customer to book in a slot on a day that may not be available, but it can be handled through doing this system. So we're going to do that, and we're going to get the event ID, put it in over here. I'm going to take that, paste it here, paste it here. Nice. So now we're going to save that. That should work. Yep. Okay. So basically we're almost done, because now this is all of the calendar system that you can check, and we can actually just test it out real quick. So we can do like, hi, how can I help you? I want to book an appointment. It's appointment spelled wrongly. I am a new customer. I am an existing customer. Actually, no, let's try it. I am a new customer. To get started, could you let me know if you're a homeowner? Let's say I'm a homeowner. Can I get your first and last name? My first name is Xian. My last name is Ju. Could you share the address where the plumbing service is needed? Flat 69 John Street. Something like that. I don't know. Is that a specific city or area? I don't know, bro. Specific city. London. I don't know. Berlin. Yeah, perfect. Yes. Could you provide phone number? Plus 49 743 45. Some random numbers. I don't know. Share your email address. xianjun@gmail.com. These are all fake information, by the way. Does everything look correct? Yes. Great. Tell me what kind of services you need. I can assist with that. Let's say if we want to try to check for cluster 1, it should be routine maintenance, right? Repairs. So let's try that. I want to get minor repairs. It should go into cluster 1. I want to get minor repairs. It should understand that this is cluster 1 and should go into cluster 1. Got it. Minor repairs fall under routine maintenance. Could you tell me a bit more about the issue? For example, okay, I have a clock pipe. Pause. Is the clock pipe connected to a basin? This will help us prefer. Kitchen sink. Okay, now it should know that. Definitely, yep. So it's cluster 1, right? So it's asking for the date and time for when I'm available. I can say, give me the earliest available slot. So what it's going to do is going to check availability using the check availability tool. and it should return some of the slots that's available. It's taking a second here. Okay, so the earliest available slots are Saturday, which you can confirm over here. So if I go into cluster 1, and I'm going to click on the preview, February the 1st, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So February the 1st, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The reason why it's 7 instead of 6 is because I'm currently living in London, so there's a 1-hour time difference in Germany and London, so just keep in mind. So this is 7 to 9 p.m., which is actually correct. Saturday, February. Okay, so if I'm gonna say pick the 7 p.m. on Saturday, it should book out this slot. So if I refresh this 6 p.m. slot should be gone. Pick a 7 p.m. on Saturday. Now it should book the appointment for me with my details. Okay, so book appointment. It seems there was an issue booking appointment. Let me double check for you again. Yes, please. It's a bit slow, but I mean, you should get the idea, right? If it goes into book appointment, then it should work. But while we're waiting, we're going to create a new state. This is where we end the call. I don't get why it's not working. Anyways, I'm just going to create a new state here. Just stop with that. Book appointment. I got the event type ID Euro Berlin. Well, she don't even know why it's not working. Anyways, I'm gonna test that in a bit again. But after it's able to book in the slots, we want to go to the end state. This is where the call is completed, and you want to end the call. So I'm just gonna put the end call state over here. And in this end call state, you want to put something like this. You are now at the end of the call. Thank the caller for all time. Summarize relevant issues and do that. And you want to add a tool, end the call. This tool is used to end the call basically. Very smart. Says by your instructor to do so. Nice. Okay, why did I create a new state? I don't need that. So this is essentially the gist of the entire system. Now what we need to do is just build out the workflow on end and our Google Sheets to store all the information. So I'm gonna go into let me see. Okay, so yeah, so now this all should work. I'm just gonna go ahead and build out the Google Sheets for now. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just creating a new Google Sheet over here, right? So what we're trying to build out is something that looks like this. So we need a database that contains the customer type. This could be either the owner, landlord, or the tenant. And then we have the first, last name, address, phone number, email address. These are the information of the landlord or the owner or the tenant. And then we have the landlord's first name, last name, landlord. Basically, it's the landlord's information. And then we got the tenant's information. And lastly, if they're asking for maintenance, we need the device manufacturer and the device type. So we're going to replicate that. We're going to build out this system on a new spreadsheet. So we're going to start off with customer type, first name, last name. It's going to fill out this information here. House address, phone number, email address, landlord. Let me just copy paste this entire thing. Yeah, let me just do that. Yep. Okay. So now we have a spreadsheet that looks something like this, right? So, okay, it's perfect. So now we have an empty spreadsheet. We're just going to call this database. And then we're going to click and rename this customer profiles. And perfect. Okay, what do we need to do now? Okay, so now we're going to build out the tool. So identify customer and gather information, retrieve existing customer. Okay, so we're going to build out the custom tool for this part here to check the database. So we're going to check the database for the first and the last name. And then the message will say to user when calling. I'm just going to delete that. We don't need it. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Retrieve existing customer information. This is the URL for the which is what we wrote over here. What we're going to get is the arguments, which is the first and the last name. And then we're going to basically check for the Google Sheets, right? So we're going to click on Google Sheets here. And we want to find get rows. Yep. I want to get rows. Here you want to basically set up your credentials. It's a bit of a process here, but it should take a few steps basically. Set up your credentials, resources sheet within document, get rows from, I'm going to click by ID. You want to go here. The ID of this document is basically this one, this bit. You want to go there, put that in. Sheets, I'm going to click by name. And the name of this sheet is customer profiles. And put that. And you wait, it should update. Something like this. Hello? It's spelled correctly. Customer profiles. Yeah. Hello? Filters. Okay, yeah, that works. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find based on the first name and the last name. So we're going to connect the data that we got from the webhook. So here we have the first name. We're going to put that there. And the last name. So, okay. So if you see now, if we're just going to click on test step, we shouldn't get information because we don't have any names over here. But I put out something simple, right? So if I'm the owner, if I can spell that right, my first name is, say, Sian Jun, my last name is Ong, and then I got my flat address, flat 50, John Street, something like that. My God, I can't spell, bro. Okay, so something simple, right? If I do that, I still shouldn't get it because only the last, yeah, none of these are accurate, right? So I still shouldn't get anything. But if my first name is now Sian and my last name is Jun, I should be able to get this information. So if I do that, and if I click on test step, these are the information that I get, right? I can see that I'm the owner. I got this, I got my house address, and everything else is empty because I don't have anything here. So that works. So basically, we're just finding out the profile based on the first and the last name of the user, right? So we're gonna do that, and then let me just rename this to like retrieve customer profile, and then we're gonna put an if statement. In this if statement, we just want to see if the customer profile exists. If it exists, then we want to send a message back with a webhook response. If it doesn't exist, then we want to respond as well. So what we could do is, as you can see, if it exists, it should have some of this information coming out, right? So if I can just basically just do something like this. So if customer type exists, test step, this should be true because there is a profile. But if I do something like, if I remove this, if I change the name to something different, And if I try to test this step again, I shouldn't get anything on output. And then if I run this step, okay, why is there no data? Okay, settings. What we need to do is always output data, because even if it's empty, you want to output something. And then you click here, test step, false, because there is no data. The customer profile doesn't exist. So this is how we determine if the customer exists or not in the database. And I'm just gonna rename this real quick. We can put something like if profile exists. So retrieve the information. If the profile exists, you want to go up here, the webhook response, respond to webhook. I'm gonna do that, and you want to duplicate this actually. So if it exists, you want to respond with maybe a text. This should contain the information of the profile. If it doesn't exist, if the profile doesn't exist, you want to put with like say customer profile does not exist, something like this. I'm gonna save that. So if it exists, let's try this again. I'm gonna change this. Xian. If I go here, click run, it should come out with my information. Nice. Run this, it's gonna go up here because it exists. And I'm gonna respond with all of this information. Now it's a bit hard to structure out the information in a good format such that the agent can understand. So what we could do is, let me just add one more information here. Let's create a field, and let's call this structure profile message. And we're gonna click on create one. Let's call it customer profile. And here we want to basically map out everything that we know about this customer. So customer type, this, wow, this is gonna be annoying. Basically, let's try to write out everything. Last name, house address, phone number, then email address, and last name, then house address, then house address, and first name, and then last name, and email address, device manufacturer, device type. Okay, so now we'll do that one basically everything. Yeah. First name, last name, house address, phone number, how do you this? Right, and then just this, then right, and space this also. Then first name, last name, phone number, then email address, then house address, then first name, and last name, and email address, device manufacturer, device type. Okay. Okay, that took a while. So something like this, right? And click on test step, we should get a message that looks something like this. So you want to return this message to the voice agent. So let's do that. And then we're going to put customer profile. So we're going to return this message to the voice agent as the webhook response. And if there's no profile, I return this. Nice. So that's essentially it for the check database workflow. Okay, let me just rename this real quick and put something like profile not found. This is, oops, you want to read out customer profile. Yeah, that's it. That's it for this part. Now let's build out. Okay, so that's reading it out. And then what else do we need? Okay. Okay, so that works. Now let's let's build out a workflow for adding a new customer. So this is the workflow for checking the database. Now, if the user is a new customer, we want to add profile into the database, right? How we could do this is basically once they end the call, we're gonna pass the transcript to the workflow, right? There's gonna be a webhook response. We send that transcript to a workflow, and that workflow in end will basically read through the entire transcript, and it's gonna get all the structured data out on what information is required to fill in the customer profile. So let's create a new workflow over here, and we're gonna call this plumbing XYZ. This is gonna be add to database, and we're gonna put webhook response. Webhook. Change this to post. Click on that, and we're gonna go into retail, and it should go under here because every time after you end the call, you wanna send this transcript to the workflow. So we're gonna paste that workflow webhook over here. Yeah. Okay. So now every time the call is done, it should go over here. It should send the details over here, and we're gonna read the details through a transcript. So how we're gonna do that is we're gonna start by using a check completion to understand whether a new customer profile is created or not. So how we could do that is we're gonna send it to AI, which is OpenAI. We're gonna message a model. Okay, let's do that. Again, set up your credentials. I already got mine. Operation, message a model from a list. Choose your model. I'm gonna go with for O mini because that's the cheapest one. I actually have a prompt that I've already written, so you can just copy this. Click on system. This is the system prompt. I'm gonna copy that. So you can write out something like this, right? So you're an AI assistant designed to analyze a call transcript from an AI agent for a plumbing company. Your task is to determine whether a new customer profile was created during the call. You will receive the transcript, analyze it, and at any point in time, an AI voice agent created a new customer profile. A new customer profile is created if it provides the first name, last name, house address, blah, blah, blah. Only return yes if there is explicit evidence in the transcript that a new customer was created. If there is no such evidence, return no. So there's only two outputs, right? So yes and no, basically. And then you want to say no additional text because, I mean, yeah, you can actually just change this to no to capital to ensure that it only outputs yes or no, right? And then you want to add another message, and this is where it would return. There should be a user prompt. So in the user prompt, we can write something like this. Analyze the following transcript. Determine if the new customer profile is created. Strictly we respond with yes and no. And then this is where you get the transcript. I'm going to give it a test call to see if we get the transcript over here. It should work. And yeah. And before that, let me just rename this real quick to like create a new customer profile. Something like this is simple. By the way, it's very good practice to name your nodes correctly so that when you come back and do some readjustments, or if there's anything that you want to change, it's easier for you to understand. Or you can just record a 1 hour long video just building it out so that you can watch back. But like obviously, you know, not everyone's a YouTuber, right? It's my first video anyways, so yeah. Now we're gonna move on to the next step, which is checking if this is a yes or a no, right? So we can build out an if statement. So this one could be if, let's say, if the customer is an existing user, if existing user, meaning the content over here should output yes or no. So if it is an existing user, it should output no, because there's no new profile created, right? So we should get a transcript over here, but now we don't have it, but we're going to put that equal to no. Just to make things easier, I'm just going to test it out real quick. Test audio. Okay.
Hi, this is the Plumbing XYZ virtual assistant on a recorded line. How can I help you today?
Hi, I want to book an appointment and I'm an existing customer.
Great. Let me pull up your details. Could you please provide me with your name so I can look up your account?
My first name is Hsien, Hsien, and my last name is Jun, Jun.
Thank you. Just to confirm, I have your name as Hsien for the first name and Jun for the last name. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Let me quickly check our system for your profile. I wasn't able to find your profile in our system, but that's okay. Let's quickly gather your details now.
Sorry,
Could
can
you
check that
provide?
again?
Of course. Let me double check the system for your profile. One moment, please. It seems I'm still unable to locate your profile in our system. No worries, though. Let's quickly gather your details now to proceed. Can you share your address?
Okay, why is this not working? Set the response. Okay, sorry. It should be using response to webhook. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Let's try it again. Hello.
Hi, this is the Plumbing XYZ virtual assistant on a
If I'm gonna check that, you should. I'm gonna start with AI begins with your defined begin message because you don't want it to be quiet. So I'm just gonna do that, and I'm gonna put something like this. I'm gonna delete that. Put it here. Perfect. Test.
Hi, this is the Plumbing XYZ virtual assistant on a recorded line. How can I help you today?
Hi, I want to book an appointment.
Of course. Have you used our plumbing services before, or is this your first time calling us?
This is my. No, actually, I've used your plumbing services before.
Great. To find your profile in our system, can I get your first and last name spelled out, please?
So my first name is Hsien. It is Hsien, and my last name is Jun, Jun.
Thank you. Just to confirm, I have your name as Hsienjun. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Let me quickly check our system for your profile. I found your profile in our system. Let me confirm a few details with you. Customer type, owner. Pause 1 second. House address, flat 50 John Street. Pause 1 second. It seems your phone number isn't listed in the profile. Does this information look correct so far?
Yeah, it's correct.
Perfect. Let's move on to scheduling your appointment. What plumbing issue are you experiencing?
Okay, so that's a bit stupid. So let's where was that? That was when I was retrieving existing customer. Ensuring a 1 second pause. Maybe I should take this out. I don't know why it's reading this out. Pause 1 second. Okay. This is kind of stupid, bro. What is going on here? What is going on? I didn't expect that to happen, but okay. So we're just gonna take out the pause 1 second. But basically what happens is, ah shit, I forgot to test the workflow. Did I got information? Yeah, it wasn't listening. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't clicking on that. So let's try it one more time.
Hi, this is the Plumbing XYZ virtual assistant on a recorded line. How can I help you today?
Hi, I want to book an appointment and I am an existing customer.
Great. Let me pull up your details. Could you please provide me with your name so I can look you up in our system?
Yeah, so my first name is Hsien, Hsien, and my last name is Jun, Jun.
Just to confirm, I have your name as Sinjun. Is that correct?
Yeah, but my spelling is Hsien.
Thank you for clarifying. I have it as Xianjun. Let me check our database for your profile. I wasn't able to find your profile in our system, but that's okay. Let's quickly gather your details now. Could you please provide me with your address and phone number?
Now, can you check the database again?
I'll try looking up your profile again in our system. It seems I'm still unable to find your profile. Let's go ahead and gather.
Oh, what's happening though? Retrieve existing customer information. That should work. Identify customer. There's something wrong with this. Why am I getting... Okay, yeah, I mean, I got the transcript here, but why isn't this bit working? It's kind of odd. Respond with webhook node. That makes sense. That makes sense. Let's see. Yeah, one more time. I'm pretty sure there's nothing wrong with...
Hi, this is the Plumbing XYZ virtual assistant on a recorded line. How can I help you today?
Hi, I want to book an appointment.
Great, I'd be happy to help with that. Have you used our plumbing services before, or is this your first time calling us?
Yeah, I've used it before, like a month ago.
Perfect. To find your profile, could you please provide your first and last name, spelled out for accuracy?
Yeah, so my first name is Hsien. It is spelled as Hsien. And my last name is Jun, Jun.
Thank you for that. Just to confirm, I have your first name as Xian, spelled Hsien, and your last name as Huan, spelled Juan. Is that correct?
No, my last name is just Jun, Jun.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying. So your name is Xian Jun, spelled Hsienjun. Let me check our database for your profile. Please hold on for a moment.
Okay. So I got the information here. That works. Let me just pin this data over here. So now I got the webhook to work. I'm going to try to run this, retrieve customer profile. I should get that properly. Nice. Check this, run this, run this. So it should read out properly. And then after everything's done, I get the transcript over here, which works. Perfect. Nice. Now what we're going to do is we're going to analyze the transcript. And as you can see, this is an example of the transcript that we got just now. We got this over here. We want to put that inside this chat completion transcript. And you just basically what you do is just go down here, click and drag it over here. Right, I already have it. So this is the entire prompt. You can see. Let me just create just do that. Now we're gonna click test step, and it should give us no. Oh yes. Oh yes. Why is it? Why did it get yes? Wait, did I create a new profile? First name is... I want to book an appointment. I'm an existing customer. Just to confirm I have a name. Is that? Why did it respond with yes? It should just be no the whole time. Yeah, why is it yes? So it's not smart enough. So I guess what we could do is a bit of a prompt engineering here. We'll go back down here. The transcript you receive contains a conversation between AI voice agent and a customer. A new profile is created. You must return yes or no. Okay. Keep in mind that if the user is an existing customer, the agent would ask the user for their first and last name to check the database. Don't confuse this with creating a new profile. A new profile is created if and only if they provide all the necessary details. Yeah, something like that. This should do the job. Now I should constantly give no. Yep, no, 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 no. Yeah, okay. I mean, it works a lot better now. So if it's no, we're going to basically check this if it's an existing user. If it's an existing user, it wouldn't create a new profile. So if content equal to no, that means it's an existing user, right? So if it's an existing user, what we're going to do is basically we're going to create a new check completion over here. Message a model. Let's put that here. What we want to do is let me think. How should we do this? Okay, now let's handle the new user first. So if the customer is a new user, right, you want to basically add all of the information to the Google Sheets. So we're gonna do this. I have a let me just paste out. So this is a prompt that I got. So we could write out something like this. You are an AI assistant designed to analyze call transcripts for an AI voice agent for a plumbing company, blah, blah, blah. A task is to extract customer information based on the customer type, owner, tenant, or landlord, or any additional details. So again, you want to properly prompt the chat completion so that it knows how to distinguish whether the customer is an owner, a tenant, or a landlord, right? So if it's an owner, these are the information that he will provide. If it's a tenant, these are the information. If it's a landlord, these are the information. And again, device manufacturer and device type is only collected if the user wants a maintenance. Otherwise, he wouldn't provide that. And then specify that if any specific information is not provided, default the value to a dash or a full stop. Let's just keep it as a dash, as per the following example format. I don't like a dot. Why do I put dot? Let's just do that. So something like this, Xian, last name Jun, house address, something like this. So you want the output to be in a JSON format, because what we're going to do after this is we're going to pass this JSON into a JSON parser, and we're going to use out these individual key value pairs to fill up the Google Sheets. So the example output would be something like this, and we're going to pass this JSON later on, but for now let's just keep it as that. This would be the system prompt, and then we're going to add a message here. This is the user prompt where we'll provide the transcript. So we can do something like this. So how do we do that? Run this. And again, I always try to click on always output data so that you can access the data in the next node. True. The reason why we're not getting the data here is because did I output data? Yeah, I did. I got the data over here. Existing user? No. Why am I not getting the data? Is it because I'm not running through this path? Yeah. Okay, let's just try to test this out one more time and see if...
Hi, this is the Plumbing XYZ virtual assistant on a recorded line. How can I help you today?
Hi, I want to book an appointment and I'm a new customer.
Great. Let me gather a few details to get started. Are you a homeowner, tenant, or landlord?
I'm an owner.
Got it. Let's start with your details. Can I have your first and last name, please?
My first name is John and my last name is Smith.
Thank you, John. Could you share the address where the plumbing service is needed?
I live in flat 60, John Street.
Thanks for that. Just to confirm, is the full address flat 60, John Street? If there's anything else like a city or zip code, could you provide that as well?
No, I don't have.
No problem, John. Could you provide your phone number so we can reach you if needed?
Phone number is +49 585 7456.
Thanks, John. Just to confirm, is your phone number 49 585 756? Let me know if I got that right.
Yeah, that's correct.
Perfect. Lastly, could you provide your email address for appointment confirmation?
My email address is johnsmith@gmail.com.
Thank you, John. I've got all your details. Let's move on to the type of plumbing service you need. One moment while I transition us to the next step. Can you tell me what kind of plumbing service you need? I can assist with routine maintenance, repairs, installations, or urgent emergencies.
I just want a repair.
Understood. Could you tell me a bit more about the repair? For example, is it related to a heating system, a
Yeah,
radiator,
it's a heating
or
system.
perhaps... Thanks for clarifying. Repairing a heating system falls under more extensive repairs. Let me proceed with that. One moment while I move us to the next step. What date and time would work best for your appointment, John? We're available Monday through Friday, 8:30
Just
a.m.
give
to
me any
5:30.
slots available.
Take your time. Let me know when you're ready with a preferred date and time for the
Yeah,
appointment.
give me any available slots.
Sure thing. Let me check our availability for the next few days. One moment, please. Here are some available slots for the next few days. Monday, February 5th, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday, February 6th,
Okay, give me
12 p.m.
that's the earliest slot on the 5th of February.
Booking the earliest available slot on Monday, February 5th at 11 a.m. for you. It seems there was an issue booking the appointment. Let me double check the details and try again. Could you confirm the full address, including the city or any additional details, to ensure everything is accurate?
Yeah, so the city is Munich.
Thank you for confirming, John. Let me update the details and book your appointment for Monday, February 5th at 11 a.m. One moment, please. It seems there's still an issue with the booking system. It'll escalate.
Okay, we'll fix the booking system in a bit, but basically what's happening now is, okay, let's write it down. So I'm gonna fix the booking system. But now, once the call is done, you get a webhook over here with all the information. Create a new customer profile. I did, so it should be yes. That's correct. If it's a new customer, it should go down to Falls branch. Okay, why is it going to true as well? Let me just pin this data once. Okay, just test this one more time. Okay, yeah, I didn't get why it was doing that. But anyways, so now what we're gonna do is, if you see over here, what we're gonna do with this bit is we're gonna extract all of the information. So in the call transcript, in the user message, you want to do this. Click on call transcript. You want to find the webhook. So let me just put that down. So go into webhook, find the transcript over here. You want to drag it and drop it over here. So now it has access to that. And if you try to test this step, you should get out a good information of every single detail that we need in JSON format. which is correct. And the next thing you want to do is, let me just rename this real quick. You can do this like, say, extract information. And now you want to parse this. Let's name this parse JSON. So how we can do this is basically, I'm just going to go into chat. I already have one here. I'm going to go into chat and I'm going to take a screenshot of this. And you can write out something like this, right? Write a code snippet. Write a JavaScript code snippet that would take in a JSON as an input, parse it, and output its individual key value pairs. This should be used for any general JSON input. In this case, the input is, and then you want to go here and just delete that real quick. So this is the input, right? You want to copy that and put here. Then it should write out something very easy. So function to parse JSON and output key value pairs. Okay, let's try it out. Let's just copy that, put that here. Test step. JSON input. Why is it not? Let me just put this here. Test step. Doesn't work. Okay, I'm just taking a screenshot. Try it again. Oh, why do I get this error? Maybe it's not smart, bro. I need to use DeepSeek, bro. A function must return an array of object structured as JSON updated code. Okay, let's try this. Boom. Test step. Perfect. Look, wow. Okay, so I'm gonna pass JSON, and this is now information in its individual key value pairs, right? So something like that would work. Perfect. Now, once you get all of this information, you want to add these information into the Google Sheets. So you're gonna go here, click on Google Sheets, and now you want to create a pen row in Sheets. We can rename this to like add profile. Sheet within document append row from ID. Go back here, get the ID of the sheet. Go back here, paste that by name, customer profile. Hello, customer profiles. And then can we do this? No. Fetching columns. Nice. Okay. So this is a bit of a tedious process. Just drag and drop everything so that it adds every single column. I can fast forward this if I want to, but why is it undefined? Oh, okay. I don't get why this is happening. Okay. Append update row. Okay, let me think what's happening here. Okay, what's happening over here? Hello? 18 items. Okay, I see how okay. So the reason why it's doing that is because it's outputting in the past JSON node, right? It's giving 18 items, which is not what we want. We want it to give out just one item with just all of this information here. So okay. How can we do this? Okay, so let's do this. I'm gonna copy that. This works, except that it is outputting 18 times with each key value pairs. I want it to output once with all of its key value pairs. Okay, let's see if that works. Explanation could be much better, but it's okay. Currently returns an array of individual objects, single object. Yep. Okay, let's try that. Boom. Test that. Nice. Perfect. Yeah, that works. Okay. Now you're going to add profile. That should, yep. See, it works now. Okay, so we're just going to continue doing that. Email address, landlord first name, landlord last name. Oh. Landlord phone number, landlord house address. I accidentally deleted landlord email address. Refresh column list. Bro, I accidentally deleted a landlord email address. Hello, where is it? Columns to send. Landlord email address. Okay. Landlord email address. Put that there. Tenant's first name. Tenant's last name. Tenant phone number. Tenant email address. Property address. Device manufacturer. Put this. And then device type. Why is it not? Okay, that's done. Now if I execute this, I should add one row over here. Nice. Okay, why do I have this error? That's just a formatting issue. I'll solve that later on. But okay, that works. Perfect. So this path is if the customer is new and it creates a new profile. Now, what happens if the customer is an existing customer? What we want to do is basically use the existing customer's data and update any new information that we have. But in this case, what we're going to do is just update the manufacturer type and the manufacturer and the device type. Okay, so the device manufacturer and the device type. This is the only two things that we want to update. So what we could do is, this too is the same thing. We could just copy paste that. So if it is an existing user, create a new customer profile. So if it is an existing user, go up here, extract information, same thing, run that. Okay, right now that's nothing. Pass JSON. And then next is we want to check if the user has provided a device manufacturer and the device type. Okay, so how can we do that? Okay, yeah, what we can do is to create a new check completion, message a model, and message a model, choose GPT-4o mini. Okay, so what we can do is we can have a prompt that looks something like this. System. So we can have a prompt that looks like this. You are an AI assistant designed to analyze call transcripts, determine if the user is requesting a maintenance service, because if they do, they'll provide the manufacturer of the device and the device type. So something like this. Your analysis should consider the entire transcript. If the user is not requesting, output false. If the user is requesting but has not provided the manufacturer device type, output false. If the user is requesting maintenance and has provided both the manufacturer of the device and the device type, then you output true. So again, it should output only true or false, right? And then we're going to add another message. This is where we provide the transcript. So here, analyze the transcript based on a given criteria, output true or false. So in this case, in this particular transcript, we did not actually provide the device manufacturer, so it should output false. We can test that. Okay, I mean we don't have the previous nodes data, but it should work. So we rename that to check maintenance info. Check if maintenance info provided. Because if they did, you want to update that in the Google Sheets. Over here, we could do update row and sheets. From list, from ID, go back here, get the ID. Put that there. From my name, customer profiles. And then we want to check if it's an existing user. We want to, you can check based on the first name or the phone number. I think ideally in most cases you want to use phone number because it's unique to every single because it's unique to every single customer, right? But since we're doing in the testing phase, we don't have the phone numbers of the customer. What we can do is just use the first name. So column to match on first name, and then here we can put the name, which should be let's see, extract information. We should get something like, okay, pass JSON. So we should get all of this information. Okay. Okay, sorry, yeah. So this one only outputs true and false. Okay, so before this, we're going to add an if statement over here. So here what we're going to do is, if this is true, meaning they provided the information, so we're going to name this if maintenance info provided. If they provided it, you want to update the Google Sheets. Otherwise, you want to not do anything. Just click on, is there a no operation, do nothing. Okay. So if they provided the maintenance information, you want to update the sheets. Otherwise, do nothing. Okay, so now what we could do is you could just test out the agent. And we could say that we are an existing user. And then we want to update. Okay, so let's do that. So let's say we are an existing user, John Smith, and we want to update the device type and the device manufacturer. So let's try that. So I'm gonna go on retail, click on test.
Hi, this is the Plumbing XYZ virtual assistant on a recorded line. How can I help you today?
I want to book an appointment.
Of course. Have you used our plumbing services before, or is this your first time calling us?
I've used it before. I'm an existing customer.
Great. To pull up your profile, can I get your first and last name spelled out for accuracy?
Yeah, so my first name is John, John, and my last name is Smith, Smith.
Thank you, John. Just to confirm, I have your name as John Smith, spelled Johnsmith. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Let me quickly check our system for your profile. It seems I wasn't able to find your profile in our system, but that's okay. Let's quickly gather your details now. May I proceed?
Wait, give me a sec.
Of course, take your time. Let me know when you're ready.
Can you check the database again?
Sure, let me try checking the database for your profile again. One moment, please. I found your profile in our system. Let me confirm a few details with you. Customer type, owner. House address, flat 60, John Street, Munich. It seems there's an issue with the phone number in our system. Could you confirm your phone number for me so I can update it?
That's fine. That's not important. I want to book a service for maintenance.
Got it. For maintenance services, could you let me know the manufacturer and type of the device you'd like us to service? You can usually find this information on the type plate of the device or in the operating manual.
Yeah, so my device manufacturer is Bosch, so it's a Bosch, and my device type is a water heater.
Thank you. Just to confirm, the manufacturer is Bosch, spelled Bosch, and the device type is a water heater. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Perfect. What date and time would work best for your maintenance appointment?
Uh, anytime. Just give me the earliest possible date.
Let me check the earliest available date for you. The earliest available slot is this Saturday, February 1st.
Okay, I'm just gonna end the call. I should receive that information here, or maybe not. See, sometimes there's this issue, so using the test URL, it doesn't really work very well. But if you just refresh it, sometimes that will work. I don't want to be doing this entire thing again. So click on executions. So hopefully it ran. No. Okay, I'm just gonna test the agent entirely once more to get this to work. So I'm just gonna fast forward this entire process again.
Hi, this is the Plumbing XYZ virtual assistant on a recorded line. How can I help you today?
Hi, I want to book an appointment and I am an existing customer. My first name is John and my last name is Smith.
Thanks, John. Let me look up your details in our system. One moment, please. Transitioning to retrieve existing customer info. Apologies for the delay. Could you please spell out your first and last name for me to ensure I find the correct profile?
Yeah, my first name is John and my last name is Smith.
Thank you. Could you please spell that out for me?
JOHNSMITH.
Thank you. Just to confirm, is that JOHN for your first name and SMITH for your last name?
Yeah, that's correct.
Let me quickly check our system for your profile.
Can you check it again?
Thank you for your patience. Let me check that for you now. One moment, please.
Bruh. Can you check the profile again?
I'll check our database for your profile now. One moment, please.
So sometimes I get this fucking issue, bro. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the production URL. Okay, so try this one more time.
Hi, this is the Plumbing XYZ virtual assistant on a recorded line. How can I help you today?
Hi, I want to book an appointment and I am an existing customer. My first name is John. My last name is Smith.
Great, John. Let me look up your details in our system. Please hold on for a moment.
Hello?
I'll go ahead and retrieve your information now. One moment, please. Just to make sure I have the correct information, could you please spell out your first and last name for me?
It's JOHNSMITH.
Let me check our database for your profile, John. I wasn't able to find your profile in our system, but that's okay. Let's quickly gather your details now.
No, can you check it one more time?
I understand. Let me double check that for you. Could you please confirm the spelling of your first and last name once more?
JOHNSMITH. John Smith.
Let me double check your profile in our system, John. I still couldn't find your profile, but no worries. Let's gather your details.
So, it seems to be an issue right now. But let's fix that. The problem right now is basically what's happening is if you go into executions and you can see when we're looking for the profile John Smith, what the agent caught is John, but it's all small caps, right? And that's not the same as John with a capital J, right? That's why it's not getting any output. So what we could do is we could go back to retail, click on retrieve existing customer. Under this tool, this function queries the database using the customer's first and last name, and it retrieves the customer profile. Capitalize the first letter of the name. If you do something like this, it should now work, right? Fingers crossed. Okay, let's try one last time. This should work now.
Hi, this is the Plumbing XYZ virtual assistant on a recorded line. How can I help you today?
I want to book an appointment and I am an existing user.
Great. Let me pull up your details. Could you please provide me with your name so I can look up your account?
So my name is John Smith. It's spelled as JOHNSMITH.
Thank you, John. Just to confirm, I have your name as John Smith, spelled JOHNSMITH. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Let me quickly check our system for your profile, John. I found your profile in our system. Let me confirm a few details with you. Customer type, owner. House address, flat 60, John Street, Munich. It seems there's an issue with the phone number in our system. Could you please confirm your phone number for me?
No, it's fine. Let's just go on with the booking. I want to book a maintenance and at any available slots early as possible.
Thank you for letting me know, John. To ensure we have the correct contact details for your booking, I'll need to update your phone number first. Could you please share it with me?
No, don't worry about the phone number, man. Just book on my appointment.
Understood, John? Let me proceed with booking your maintenance appointment. One moment while I transition to the next step. Can you tell me more about the maintenance service you need? We handle tasks like boiler servicing, minor plumbing repairs.
This is for my boiling. Yeah, for the boiler.
Got it. Is this for routine maintenance of your boiler? If so,
Yes.
could you share the manufacturer and device type? You can usually find this information on the type plate of the
manufacturer is Bosch, BOSCH, and the device type is for the water heater.
Thank you, John. I've noted that the manufacturer is Bosch and the device type is a water heater. Let me proceed with scheduling your boiler maintenance.
Okay, so now I got those information. If you look at executions, that should run. It should be an error, by the way, because I haven't added the Google Sheets. But okay, so what we can see is we got the output. So if we go into the add to database, we're gonna basically get output here. Output data copied. I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna set this. Hit output. Okay, save. Pin data. Okay, so I'm gonna run that. So basically what happened was I did not create a new profile. So if I run this, it should go out to true because I'm an existing user. That's right. Now I'm gonna extract all the information and I'm gonna parse it. Now I have them individually. So these are all the individual information. Nice, that works. So, and then now we're gonna check if I provided the maintenance information, which is, why am I so blurry? Okay, so it should provide true or not, and this time it's true because I did provide the information. And I run this, it should be true, and it goes up to this part here. Nice. Now what I need to do here is I'm gonna update it based on first name. So if the first name matches John, then you want to update the device manufacturer, which is down here, and the device type. Okay, so again, I am an existing user. So before this is what I have in my database. I did not provide that. But once I talked to the agent and I updated those information, if I run this, you can see that this will now be updated. So that's how you handle the existing users. And in terms of a new user, in terms of new users, it goes down this route. So that works. Yeah, okay, so I think that should be it. Now what do we need to do? Okay, one more thing that we have to fix is when it's reading out the phone number. When it's reading out the phone number, it's a bit wacky, right? So retrieve existing customer. What we can do is just change a bit of the prompt. So digit by digit, or maybe we can add it down here. Phone number must be read digit by digit. Read digit by digit. Okay. Alright, that works. Okay, so I think we are basically done. So the check database that works. Plumbing, add to database, that works. Extract information, parse JSON, add profile. Okay, so this is if the entire profile is new. And okay, we got the ChatGPT, we delete that. So that should be it. So basically we're done with this entire part. Now let's try to actually book an appointment, right? So that was a bit of an issue at the start where we couldn't actually check the availability over here. Okay, so now we're gonna test it out one last time. We're gonna make there's a bit of an error just now. So basically, what happened is when we're trying to book an appointment just now, there was a problem with the tools whereby it doesn't actually doesn't actually book in the location properly. And all I did was literally just I deleted the calendar. I deleted the tool and just added it again and just do the same thing and it started working again. So it's a bit of a, I don't know what's happening there. But basically, if we try testing it out again, and I tried basically just putting in an actual address just so that the AI could understand that this is an address. And let's just use this existing user and try to book in an appointment. So let's try it again. Hi, I want to book an appointment. I am An existing customer. My name is Jason Ong. Jason Ong. Yes. Okay. So now it knows. It's able to get this information here. This should work now. Yep. See, it properly got that. Yes. What plumbing issues? Routine maintenance. Okay. Could you confirm if this is your Bosch? Okay, so it's talking about this Bosch water heater. I don't know how to pronounce that. But yep, that's correct. Yes. And then what's happening is, what date and time would work best? Give me any earliest possible date. So now it's going to check the calendar, use the check availability, which works. Would you like to book this? Earliest slot is on Sunday, February. Yes, please. It should be able to book the appointment right now. Okay, your appointment is booked for Sunday, February the 2nd, 2 p.m. Keep in mind, this is 2 p.m. in Berlin time in Germany, but currently I'm in London, so it's 1 hour, there's sort of 1 hour difference. So if I go ahead and check my email, I should get an email with a confirmation of my booking under Jason Ong. So as you can see over here, I'm going to click into that. A new event has been scheduled between Ong Xian Jun and Jason Ong. Here we got the location, the description, routine maintenance, minor repairs, consultations, whatever. What is this meeting about? Routine maintenance for Bosch water heater. So we know that this works, and in this email we can also get like a reschedule link, or you want to cancel the appointment, you can do that here. So that's basically it. And yeah, honestly, everything works well. Other than that, everything else should be done. Yeah, webhook functions here. Yeah, last thing you can do is basically add the knowledge base. So if we go back to the flowchart here, we can see that basically we built out this entire system, right? This appointment booking system. And the only thing we're left with is just the knowledge base. But this is just, you can just do it anytime you want. What you could do is, if you have a knowledge base that you want to link to a website, you can click add a new knowledge base, and click plus. You click add. Here is where you could put in a web crawl. So this is where it could, you attach a link to your website, and then it instantly gets the knowledge from your website. Or you can upload your own files. This is where you create your own files. You write up a whole document explaining what is, all the details about your website or what your business. Or lastly, you can just add text. What people would do is upload a normal file, but the thing about this is it is a very static knowledge base, in meaning every time you want to make a change, you have to create a new one, and you have to upload it again and always constantly update it. So again, if it's a static knowledge base, you can just do that if it's easy. But other than that, yeah, you can decide. Then you can just attach the knowledge base to your agent, and every time a user asks a random general FAQ, you can just get the information from the knowledge base. In terms of the speech settings, you can add in background sounds. I usually leave it to none, but if you're interested in having a coffee shop background or like a convention or something like that. Responsiveness, interruption sensitivity, you can just play around with these settings and see which would perform the best. Voicemail detection, or post-call analysis. You could actually use this instead of using the workflow that I did beforehand. So if you look at my N99 workflow, what I did was I extract information here, and then I get the structured data through the parse JSON module, right? But actually what you could do is you can just add informations here. And if you want to get like call summary, for example, like this one here, you can just do that. And then every time you sense the webhook at the end of the call, you can have a structured data of summary and then the following summary, right? But I usually do it outside of retail. So I think it's easier for me, but if you want, you can just do it in there. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I think that's basically it for this entire video. It's not like 2 hours. It's so long. It's probably gonna be one of the longest videos I make. I hope it is very helpful. I hope you can learn a lot from this video. And if this is something you guys want to see a bit more in terms of what I can produce and the kind of videos that I can make, just let me know and we will take it from there. Yeah, thank you very much.